beautiful Florida. It's time for the 51, where we talk a little bit about a lot with your hosts, Johnny Jalopy and Eddie B. The 51 is sponsored by Johnny Jalopy Hot Rod Art. Go check out JohnnyJalopy.com. Wear what the cool kids wear, shirts, hats, and stickers at JohnnyJalopy.com. And now,
awesome.
The 51.
Yeah. It is awesome. The 51, part 2.
Yes.
Remember Ghostbusters part 1? And then they're like part 2, and the artwork was really cool. That's the best part.
But the sequels usually are not
better.
That's
not true. We already had a great session, part 1 with Howard
Our
Pierpont.
sequel is going to be different, though.
It was so awesome. So we have, once again with us, our special guest, Howard Pierpont. There he is. Look at that handsome devil. I love what you've decided to wear today. Who are you dressed by today?
Who are you wearing?
I'm wearing the Johnny collection. Actually, out of in the car, I have another one.
Oh, really?
And I also have, in my suitcase, the Cajun version.
Oh.
With the
sleeves
and the V.
The Cajun version.
That could be Cajun or Jersey.
True. Yes, that's very true. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you were from Connecticut, you would know this.
We had such a great 51 minutes with Howard Pierpont on our first segment.
We were like 51.
We
Not
said
enough.
it is not enough time.
No,
So we're doing
51 more
another
minutes.
51 minutes with Howard
Yes.
Pierpont.
So
He's got so much to share. We have some questions. We've got a segment that I like to call the shakedown.
yeah.
So we're going to do that.
Hey,
and
so
learn a little bit about-
if you just clicked on this one for the first one, make sure you go back and check
yes,
out
watch the first one.
part 1 of our interview here with Howard Pierpont on the 51. Welcome, Howard, again.
Thanks.
So awesome to have you back. We love Howard because Howard is one of our. This is going to sound so like the kids say, right? You're one of our ride or die. Although I don't know about the ride or die part, but. We appreciate that you've been with us probably since the beginning of Sketchy Live.
From day one.
Which, of course, brings you automatically into the higher echelons as far as the 51 as our third guest on the 51.
Really?
So welcome.
It's really the second because Lane was on Sketchy. He wasn't on.
Oh, good
51.
point. So, yes, you are our
Our
second
second
guest.
guest. And here's what I will tell you. Johnny and I are working together to come up with a way to bring people in remote on this 51
Yes.
episode. So that is something that we're working on. We want to have that capability because we know that not everybody's going to be able to travel to Florida as much as you want to.
And we did a horrible job on the last episode, so we're going to tidy up this episode, which is, hey, we love that you're watching us here on YouTube. Please like and subscribe.
Yes.
Tell a friend. Check out here at Howard Pierpont. Do you have like a website or anything like that?
I have
Many websites?
many websites.
Many websites.
Howard Solutionist.
Howard Solutionist. It's very, very cool information about, and again, you want to know what a solutionist is, check out the first episode. You will learn quite a bit about what you do as a solutionist. We probably won't dig as much into the solutionist this time. Now we're going to go to this other part where he's an illusionist. No?
Well, the first illusion that I realized happened was the compensation for my participation from Johnny Jalopy LLC.
Oh, what?
There was certainly some sleight of hand
Was there
there.
a writer?
What was the compensation? I was not being aware.
I also came and talked to the producer. Did we fulfill the writer? Do you know what a writer is? Do you know what a writer is?
I know writers on this tomorrow.
As a guest, you're going to want to learn this. And if you haven't implemented this into your field of expertise, add this to it. A writer is when celebrities show up at these things. In their rider, they say, hey, I want the room to be at 72 degrees, no hotter, no colder. I want only green M&Ms in my dressing room, and I want only vanilla schnapps or something silly like that. So Howard's rider was pretty simple. Take me to well, I guess the food was okay. We had a pretty decent ham and cheese sandwich. We spared no expense here at the 51.
It's what he chose. And you want to know why? Because we were supporting local business.
Listen,
That's what Howard is about.
That's it.
We didn't want Chili's.
I travel around the country.
Trying out.
I can go to an Applebee's, I can go to a
Right.
Chili's, I can go to McDonald's, I can go to all sorts of places.
Right.
But I really want to support the locals,
Sure.
and I want to see what the local food is like.
Right. So what we did, being that Howard is here in Florida, we wanted to make sure he had the best Florida experience. We took him to a true Floridian New York restaurant because everybody is from New York or Pennsylvania or
The greater,
Connecticut.
the greater New York, New Jersey area.
You were,
Did you enjoy yours?
It was a great dinner.
Yeah, it
We
was-
Absolutely.
did a cute place.
please spare no
and-
expense. And it wasn't in his rider. He did say specifically, hey, can you just feed me? You know, I don't want to be dizzy on my way out. Just make sure I'm out of here by, oh my gosh, we're way over time.
Yes.
So, anyway.
Anyways, Howard is back, and there are a few things that we did not cover in the last segment that we do want to talk
Yeah,
about.
I want to know about your, I got to assume based on that you found us, you have some sort of love of automobile.
Absolutely.
You have some sort of love for creativity. And so you did talk a little bit about that in part of our first segment. So tell us about your passion for these things, or if it's a passion, if you want to call it a passion, but your love of these things.
Well, because
Got you into it.
because I didn't get to drive until I was much older. My latter part of my senior year in high
Oh, I was
school.
going to say, I just started driving last week.
That's cool. Thinking about getting a driver's
Yeah,
license.
you really should consider it. I know you did drive a rental car, and but
Yeah,
you
I-
might want to think
I found
license is a good thing.
I love to drive and had many opportunities. About 45 years ago, I actually worked for a drive-away company
Okay.
as a contract driver, and they'd send me out to somebody's house. So if you were moving, your company was going to move you from here to Cincinnati.
Right.
Rather than have you fly to Cincinnati and then rent a car and then have them ship the car, they'd have me come, the company that I was contracted to, come down, pick up the car a couple of days ahead of time, and I just go to the airport and meet you
Oh.
so that you could have the car, and then I'd hopscotch around the countryside. And I used to go from Boston to Miami to over snowbirds or pick up stuff in the springtime or
What a fun way to drive a bunch of cars.
and
See the sights.
see the sights. Boston to Atlanta by way of Boston to Atlanta by way of Kentucky. You know, as the sun's coming up in the morning, and the sun's behind you in the east.
So was
and
it like,
behind
hey,
you
you got to pick it up by this date and have it delivered by that day?
Yeah.
Was it always like same, obviously not the same day, but was it like multiple? They gave you like, hey, just be here by Thursday.
there was a time for it for most of them, except if it was a repossession.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
So you're doing that too. Okay.
Well, I did some repossession work, but my
Mm.
forte was the driving.
All right.
You'll see dealers that say, "We'll finance anybody. Just come on in," and it's a tier one, what we call a tier one dealer. One of the used to be the big three. Now there's
Right.
some others, not the buy here, pay here. But because they finance anybody, what they actually do is they co-sign on the loan,
Mm.
and if you miss two payments,
So
it's got to go back. Well, they don't own it. The credit bureau, Ford Motor Credit, or
Right, right, right.
GMC. Well, you had to make sure that the car was back by midnight on the
Oh.
59th day. So you get a call, here's day 57, and you're halfway across the country, and you've got to have this thing delivered, or else somebody else is going to own the car.
Gotcha.
So you'd have to slide up to the gate at the dealership and call a local John Dar and say, "Hey, can you come out, prove, sign that I was
So
actually
you
here
were doing
before
like
midnight."
Smokey and the Bandit type driving
Yeah.
sometimes. Like, oh, we're 170, you take it. Yeah.
What was the coolest car you drove? What was your favorite?
Yeah, you got to have some good stories of
Well, you
picking
mentioned
up cars.
Smokey and the Bandit. The unfortunate thing is that a lot of fellows, when they go into the service, would
Yeah.
get their first couple checks, and they'd be up in Fort Kent, Maine, Fort Kent, Maine is so far north that you're actually coming south. Because you go up and around, and the Pontiac dealer was selling them Firebirds.
Mm.
6.6s,
Right.
and they get moved to Dalton or Charleston or someplace like that, and I'd have to get down. And then, I would just have to drive that back again.
Oh, doggone it.
Those would take a couple extra days, so they'd sit out in front of my house and cruise around town just a
So
little
how
bit.
many years did you do that job?
Oh, probably about 3.
Okay.
Didn't pay much, but it was great fun.
Yeah.
Went up to a group of 6 of us. Went up to Portland, Maine, to a dealership that on the paper didn't exist, but the cars had been delivered.
Okay.
And we have a group of 18 to 24-year-olds driving brand new pink Mary Kay
Okay.
cosmetic cars.
Fun.
Down there.
Good deal. All caravan.
All caravan.
Yeah, if we're gonna look foolish,
It all
Yep.
is
do it as a pack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also drove from, we drove from Boston,
That's funny.
the dealerships around Boston, to the docks in New Jersey. And they would give you a tank of gas and say, make it.
Oh.
Well, this was during the gas crisis. So I always had 2 temporary license plates. And depending upon what day it was, whether it was odd or even, I'd have to get out before I pulled into the gas station, pay for the gas on the road.
Oh, right.
But these are brand new Cadillacs with the big fur that are they're
Yeah,
headed over
yeah,
to
yeah.
Saudi Arabia and stuff.
And I had heard about the gas crisis thing. Only recently somebody was talking about this because it must have been before my time.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the part of the show where he shows how young she is. You just heard about the gas crisis? You don't remember
as
back
far
when?
as the odds and evens, I did not know that happened.
Well,
What year
that's
was
probably
that?
because your dad stole fuel in large 100-gallon barrels
You
and
lost
was
them
wheeling
tomorrow.
it. We're fine with
Well,
fuel.
actually, he's already told us this.
And I know.
Well, but we also went through a period where you couldn't buy gas on Sunday. That was
Oh man.
how they cut down on it. And I was working parking lot security at the Bushnell Memorial in Hartford, Connecticut. And Doc Severinsen was
Yeah.
the show.
Johnny Carson's
Carson.
trumpet dude. He was the leader of the band.
Well, they needed to get back to New Jersey and realized at 10 minutes to 9 that they didn't have enough gas to get back. All the gas stations closed at 9 o'clock. So they came to me and said, what do we do? And I made a suggestion to call a couple of people. And one of the state troopers got a hold of the fellow that was running the gas station out of the turnpike. And we literally drove up there and showed some ID and went with his driver so that we could get gas.
So was Doc?
Doc was on stage.
Oh, I see.
Wow.
You were coming back to pick him up. Gotcha.
One of the trips I made, I brought my son with me. He was 4 at the time. We went down to Atlanta and then had to go back over to, we went to Charleston and we came back up to south of the border. We stopped at south of the border. What a wonderful place.
It is a great place. He's eating tamales and tacos
Yeah.
from that
I
place.
have.
And then had diarrhea 2
Pretty
seconds
sure I
later.
have diarrhea.
But there was a fellow,
Good story.
there with a truck that I was the only one I ever saw that was on a fire engine frame, and the cab of the truck was in front of the front wheels.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And it was an extension with a platform. And his company, the company he worked for, drove from football game to football game. And he was the aerial guy.
Oh,
So they would take this thing, set it all up, and he ran the equipment.
so like a crane?
No, it was a regular ladder.
Okay.
But the guy would, the photography guys would get out there with their stuff, and then he'd have to hoist them up and make sure that everything worked the way it was supposed to. And it had all sorts of, and this goes back 45 years now, back long before there was the technology that they have,
Yeah.
drones and stuff like that.
Drones and then cable wires and different stuff
But
like that.
but to see the different things that go on, my uncle was a horse trader, so we called him a horse trader, and he and a friend of his went to an a truck auction at a quarry, and they bought 15 identical pickup trucks
Okay.
at auction, and they paid $100 a piece for them. This is
Wow.
early 60s. Well, some of them didn't run. I mean, some of them
Oh, okay.
were nothing. A
Right.
couple of them ran, and the other ones they were going to make pieces of it. And he explained to me how all that was going to work. And they paid for it by check, and they got the titles. And then somebody burned the building down.
Ah,
His check was never discovered, but he already had the trucks.
Oh man.
So he had an opportunity to continue to make
He-
some money.
Yeah.
unreal.
Gained a few vehicles.
Yeah.
Sans payment.
Sans
Yeah.
Which I
payment.
hear is a French word.
It is a French word.
You knew that, huh?
Like boudoir.
Is it boudoir?
Sure.
Boudoir? Anyway.
But you can learn things from all sorts of people. Like the same uncle, 1978, he had always taught us that when you go to the bank, you go into the bank.
Right.
Don't use the drive-up. This
Okay.
is before we had ATMs. He said, because the drive-up person will never know who you are.
Okay. Hey, yeah.
So he goes into the bank, and the branch manager goes, "Hey, Russ, what do you give me for that car?" And he looked out there. It's the red, white, and blue 1976 Bicentennial Vega.
Okay.
And he goes, "I wouldn't give you 500 for that." And he goes, "Okay." And they conducted the rest of their business. 3 weeks later, my uncle walked in, and the guy goes, "So when are you going to get your car?" He says, "What car?" He said, "You bid $499 on it. You won." He goes, "What's it worth?" "Oh, 1,200. What's low?" 900. I'd like to borrow that. So he takes a loan out of the car. So there's lots of ways you could be interested in automobiles.
That's too cool. And you said that you also have a hobby that you collect small, like rare engines, or what
Engine.
hit or miss? What does that mean? Hit or miss engine?
It's our more normal combustion engines today that we're accustomed to. We know how those work. With the hit or miss, it'll strike and then run until it slows down. And it slows down to a point it'll kick in again
Okay.
Oh,
and just continuously run.
Okay.
And many of the oil field pumps were run by those.
Okay.
But they were used all over the country. It was the first part of farm automation.
Okay.
And some people also built automobiles out of
So
those kind of engines.
so there's still internal combustion. Yes.
Yes.
But they're only firing.
Oh, every fourth or fifth
Interesting.
time.
Okay, so probably pretty fuel efficient then.
Yep.
So
you
they're
said that they were antique, so they're all.
Oh, yes.
almost kind of like Jay Leno's got a bunch of different motors and engines that I'm sure he's probably got some of those styles.
Sure.
So they use them probably in the industrial industry too for run big machines, that kind of stuff.
Well, those
or mostly only farm like pumps and.
pumps and things like that, certainly the thresher machines and whatnot.
Okay. Yeah,
When you get into the more manufacturing style, that's where the mill ponds came in. And they were run by water wheels.
Okay.
And those water wheels were hooked to a rod, and then it went to a transmission. So here
Right.
again, we're talking about transmission. So there'd be a 90-degree transmission. It would run up through multiple floors, and then there would be a cross shaft and a leather belt. And when you wanted to run a particular piece of equipment, you take the stick and you take the leather belt and you
Hook it on.
hook it up to the
sprocket or
Yeah,
whatever.
there'd
The
be a-
thing would catch the belt.
yeah,
And that would
And-
run the
and it
machine.
would run the machine.
Ah,
And then if you wanted to run it at different speeds, you unhook it. And then down at the bottom, there would be different diameters.
Right.
And you could, just like
And that would change the RPM.
right, just
Right.
like a 5-speed bicycle.
Yeah, well,
So-
small bandsaws work that
Yeah.
same concept.
Yeah.
If you want a faster cut, you'll change it to a different size. You'll even make the diameters. Yeah, very cool.
So it's mechanical, it's automotive,
Yeah,
it all it all
And
rolls
how many of
together.
those type of engines do you currently have a bunch, or do you
I have a
few?
few.
And what do they just sit and then you'll just run them? Hey, look at this cool engine.
There are.
Or is it more like you like to tinker on them and get them running, or they're already running?
We'll get them running, but there are shows throughout the country.
Yeah,
Up in Iowa, there's a big Thresherman's
cool.
show each year, and they also bring out the big steam tractors
Love watching that stuff.
and running
Where you
those.
see the big ball bearing. I forget what.
The governor.
And it's we've even when we've gone to the fair, we've seen like they'll run like an ice cream maker.
I was just gonna say, that's my experience with the
Any
engines,
with
is
the
ice
ice
cream.
cream.
Because I've never seen it really work in a car necessarily. I mean, I've seen.
Well, because
ones that
they weren't those engines weren't designed to run
This is
motor
literally
vehicles,
mounted
farm
on
equipment.
just a table,
Mhm.
and you can see all the working parts. It was really interesting. And it would be like backfiring and hissing, and there would be smoke, and then ice cream.
But it wasn't necessarily a back. I mean,
Well, I don't know if it was.
well, the term backfire, yes, it is.
backfiring.
But the early Maytag washers were actually hit or miss engines,
Oh, really?
Huh.
and then over time they developed smaller engines.
Who gave them that name? Because it doesn't sound very good. Like,
What?
Hit or
ah,
miss.
hit or miss. Who would buy that?
Well, but it was fuel efficient and it ran.
Because it may or
It
may
was
not
probably
run.
much
Hit or
less.
miss.
Think about a combustion engine where it's firing every other stroke or every so 2 stroke and 4 stroke. These engines aren't firing, so there's less wear probably in the internals, that kind of stuff.
But every blacksmith could become a metallurgist, could start to pour his own castings
Well,
and be able to do. I mean, there were hundreds and hundreds of different companies local you service that area,
make their own
60 miles,
engines.
make their own engines and then sell them to the farmers and
Mm.
whatnot before the automation came in.
That's too cool.
So that's something that you collect, that you're interested in. And then you had said something about license plates. as
License
well.
plates, yes.
So tell us about that.
Yes. As a young child, my job was to replace the tab on the license plates before we had stickers. And actually that predates the standardized size of a license plate.
So it was a metal piece that
It was a
would
metal
screw on.
metal piece, the tabs that go through and
Cool.
you bend them over. License plates up until the early 60s, no, the late 50s, were the length that they needed to be to accommodate the letters and numbers.
Mm,
Where today all license plates are
Hmm.
6 inches by 12 inches on
yeah, they're all
vehicles.
the same size.
They're all the same size. They would be different lengths. Finally, there was a decision made to make them all the one size. Well, we used to do the replacement with the tab. And because we only had the one car and the one car was so precious, that one license plate or the pair of license plates that was on that car
Oh, because
was
it
really
was
precious.
not
Yeah,
in your state.
front and back in our state. And they changed from one style to another when they did away with, about the time they did
It
away
was
with the
tag
tabs.
only on the back? Or
No,
was it
tag,
both
tag,
front and
both
back?
front and
Yeah.
So different thing.
I think in New Jersey we had front and back too.
front. It does.
Yeah.
Right, but the registration thing tab you were changing out was you were changing those in front as well? Or
Yes.
just only the office was all?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have to be consistent, I would think.
So there
Wow.
was
So
wanted
that
to
was your appointed job.
that was my appointed job every December, New Year's Eve, because that's when our plates expired.
Okay.
And then I had a chance to collect some license plates.
So you kept your dad let you keep all of those?
No, those actually went. There was a time frame in between when I didn't realize I liked license plates or
Oh,
was interested.
you missed a few years.
I missed a few years.
You're like, these are just metal pieces of. Well, what's interesting is same thing. Probably when I was a younger kid, I'd look at life and go, I don't even understand how it all works. And then when you get your first license and you're registering your car and you go, oh, I see the importance of it. But now, because of liking old cars and different stuff, and you go back and you look at the differences between modern license plates and those older plates of even 60s, 70s era. They're just made so much neater because it's metal and it's embossed. The graphics on them are so much cooler.
And back then, when you had a 60s license plate, it didn't say antique on it.
No.
Right, but the Florida plates, for instance, had digits at the front, and then it had letters in the middle, and you could tell by the letters what the weight class was. So if you had a W plate, you probably wanted to go to some big Cadillac or some Lincoln. And there's now most states that are called year manufactured plate statutes. So that if you have a 51 and you can find a 51 license plate that's clear as far as the registry, you register the current plates, but you put those plates underneath the front seat and you run the YIM plates.
So I'm trying to find on Google where you talk about these, because I've never seen an actual one where you screw the tab piece on it. But I just saw a Texas tag and another little off to the side.
Yeah,
almost like an ear tag that you don't know.
Right.
Yeah, that's great.
So some states use the little piece that was around the corner, just bolted it in.
How could you see that?
Well, obviously, cops did it.
Yeah, the whole point of having the tag on there so they know if your license is or tag has expired or not. Those were easy smaller.
So are those like those sought after as far as electrics are concerned?
All sorts of everybody has their own.
Is it where's so in your since it's your field of things you like what are the plates people are like what's the one plate you've been searching for? You're like I'm gonna find it and that's one to be affordable. This is
Affordable.
well, isn't that the way even collect cars and stuff like that? Things, reality TV shows, making cars when they are as easy on shows sometimes. Anyway.
So I wanted a set of all 50 states.
Okay.
So I was able to get
Specific year? Or?
No, in my case it was just 50 states.
Okay.
And then I wanted 50 dealer plates because
Okay.
there are a lot fewer dealer plates issued each year than there are regular plates. And then I said, okay, now I'm going to go for my birth year, which is 1951.
Okay.
But I've got about half of it.
1951, by the way.
1951. So now we're here. It's just the Tennessee's license plate is in the shape of Tennessee.
Oh.
And to get one that's in really good shape is $800.
Yeah. And when you're collecting something, yeah.
And that's not attached to our car.
No.
It's something you might hang on a wall or something like that. You're so like that was $800.
But there are people that collect porcelain license plates.
Oh, okay.
And there are people that, in addition to collecting the plates, collect the registry uses public books on what the plate number, who it was associated with what type of vehicle. And in my case, my family's been in this country for since 1630. My last was not the most common, and in the water area, there were a number of Pierpont that lived there. So I was able to go through the registry from 1908 to 1920. And it's amazing the number of women had their own vehicles registered in their name.
So the Pierponts clearly were higher echelons as far as if they had their own cars.
Plus
ladies.
Plus they own land. They own land. So if you're doing some kind of ancestry work, you go back and find, that was easy at Tilda or wherever else.
Right.
But then when you can say, Matilda drove 1912 Ford.
Yeah, that's
And although by the way she lived at,
right.
and she was registered to this address, then you can start to reconstruct some other things with it. So, it's not just the police. I have friends that, are only enforcement people, and they only want one particular type. And not every plate is worth saving. Texas is getting ready to go through yet another. Texas isn't going to do a replate now. Many states are doing plates every 7 years.
Right.
Well, you get a couple million plates out there that takes the value.
Sure. In a lot of states, on plastic plates now too.
They're going that.
They're almost final. Made final covering. It's not even boss.
You've got that. You have flat plates. You have some states now are allowing people to do a vinyl sticker on the front bumper, so that the whole holes. You've got a car that's very drag just putting on that there. Put the vinyl on. It's no, they don't put it. You got plates in the other, like,
In order, we only need a backlight.
right.
Well, I think so.
Depends.
I never.
Depends on how you're.
Is this keeping them, or do you anything with them?
I buy small trade.
I have no collection.
I have a meeting plate.
You do have an Indian plate. Yeah, it's really cool how that came about, right?
But I also know a fellow who's he's not a manufacturer. He owns a company that makes the contract. Has contract licenses with Jamaica and some of the
Okay.
But he also had a contract at the Democratic National Convention in 2008. Now that particular plate is only a logo. It doesn't say the year. It doesn't say what it was for.
Gotcha.
And there were only 750 of produced. I was able to get one of those plates. So that's one that's in the packet. There was a fellow up in Alaska who made plates that said Gov 1, and that was during the time I was Helen. Now, I'm not going to get into politics of it.
Sure.
But how neat is it? And I sent her, I think they probably had 25 of them, So I sent her the plate and said, would you sign it? Not only did she sign it, she signed a copy of her book and sent that back.
Nice. Yeah.
And there's little anomalies there. I have.
You sure this was not faded?
Yes, I know.
Although her in the face probably would have money if it was.
And I had a high rail truck I bought it from the Chicago Northwestern out of Boone, Iowa, and ran used to support some nonprofit tourist railroad. And I applied to the state of Massachusetts, and I got the plate RADOT. Now, people go, what's RADOT? And I just told him the string walked in the bar and climbed up and said, "Art, keep like a drink." And he goes, "We don't serve drinks." So we leave. String comes back again. I don't know the bar. String, I told you don't serve strings. This time he goes, so the string's out there. So the guy says, somebody walking by goes, string. He says, well, I want a drink. He won't sell me a drink. He says, well, what can I do for you? He says, just tie me up and toss my hair. And he goes back in the bar, climbs the chair, goes outside the bar. The bartender goes, string, I told you we don't serve string. He goes, afraid not.
Afraid not. I suddenly when you were I was like, wait, I remember this. Afraid not.
But it also says the Federal Railroad Administration, Department of Transportation.
So not.
So when I moved to Colorado, I got this plate and I put it in my work truck to just like every use specific and every borough north truck. But it looks like it's an unmarked truck.
Oh, geez.
So it was it's that kind of.
Yeah.
That truck still does have Johnny Jalopy stickers.
No kidding.
Back window.
Yeah.
It's how I spot when I hear the air. Which one is it? I go, it's Stalin. It's Johnny Jalopy.
That's so funny. The Johnny truck. No.
We have maybe another 15 minutes.
Oh. This is the fun part of 51.
Do I have to tell the truth?
Yeah. Eddie V's favorite portion of 51. Her fun segment called
The shake.
The Shakedown. Howard Pierpont.
And I
Only one survived this shakedown. And he's lived the tale. Howard B's in second. Let's find out. Eddie B. Hit him with the shakedown.
I'm just really confused.
Almost like the one where they drop the lines and say,
It was
yeah.
That's your spot. That's your title.
all right.
That makes my
I love again. She can't keep the floor down. She's got to pick it up and hold it like a secretary. Go ahead.
Question number 1, and this is really for anyone who watches our Monday Night
If you'd like to chime in, here's what on the comments. Go ahead and chime in. Your answer.
No.
Oh.
If you watch our Monday Night Podcast, one viewer in particular, Draco Cycles, is in
This one is pretty.
I'm very.
This separates general camps. Where you have, you don't want to get political, but people start. There's some real hard lines being drawn. Here's where America really draws the lines.
Sidebar.
This is a tough one.
Christmas movie or not a Christmas movie?
Oh, you have full sense.
And you love it. Your answer.
There's got to be an.
It's a Christmas.
Oh, Christmas movie.
All right.
I would have to agree.
Do you concur?
I do, and I think when Bruce Willis was asked if it was a Christmas movie, I think he did say, "Yeah, I think it's a Christmas movie."
Okay.
What was the other option?
Not.
Oh, no.
Second question.
What would it
Action.
On any,
It is
please
Christmas.
feel free to
Elaborate.
elaborate in 13 minutes time. Favorite season?
Fall in New England.
Oh, very
You are kindred spirits.
area specific as well. I have never been to New England in the fall. Would love to go.
You're thoughtful. Kind of thoughtful.
I am.
Columbus Day.
Oh.
Are you inviting me as a state director?
Well, I'd have to talk to you.
When is it?
Well, say it's when? October?
Yeah, the leaves are just all falling off in southern New Hampshire. But to go out and tour through, go out down to the water's edge, and the pond is exactly flat, and it's a mirror image.
Where's that?
New England,
New England. What part?
Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts.
But other than Amherst.
I've always,
That's your answer.
since the show Valley began, I know you remember, close to Florida.
Everyone wants to like feel.
I wanted to go to Boston.
Hey, aren't you?
I want to wear a long jacket, boots, scarf, drink the coffee, welcome to the house.
And you want to take something
It'd
to
be pretty much of that when the temperature drops to 79 degrees. Like, it's close.
Is where I
So you're
was.
about
Okay.
I was in Vero Beach the other day. And these the four people got out of the car. One of them had on a winter coat, now a winter coat, and long pants, and an Uggs.
Yeah.
And the guy that she was with had on a t-shirt and shorts.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
And
Fall
the other two were in.
is when everyone, all girls start dressed like Hanzo.
Like, Okay, I have not gone to the vest yet.
Not yet.
I said
It's
yes.
coming.
It might be coming.
It'll be leather vest, leather boots. It's
All
the
right.
hot solo bag.
Howard, early riser or night owl?
Oh. Well,
AM or PM? Statistically, I know you're Howard, right?
But statistically, night owl, I don't sleep much, so I get up early too.
okay.
When you don't like getting up early.
I prefer to sleep.
Yeah.
See? Who doesn't? If you're a morning person,
I really prefer not sleeping. I really would rather get up early.
if your body didn't wake up to you,
If I didn't go to bed at midnight every night, I would be in early.
you are late. Because I am not an early riser, I'm a night person.
Yeah.
Well, when Sketchy Live comes on, and you start that at 9:30,
We're not gonna get bed until 12:30.
right? Because it tends to shut off about 11, and then there's some post-work that's on.
You have been around where in the beginning of Sketchy Live, it was maybe 35 minutes. And then it's now, we're heading, it's been an hour and a half. We've almost did 2 hours.
So I'm just like, hello, gotta get up tomorrow.
Just like this one, 51 minutes.
All right, we're at 41 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. Manual or automatic?
Oh.
I prefer the anti-stuff
Yes.
manual.
Manual, I agree. Manual is better. Although I gotta say, when I bought the Jeep, I thought for sure I'd be like, I gotta look at the manual. But I kind of like it without having it.
Oh, I like the automatic, and given the way people drive down here, I was on I-4 yesterday, and my GPS decided to stop telling me where I was supposed to go. So I went up to Goldwater,
Okay.
and I was actually headed to the place completely.
Right.
So I was hours, and then I mean, just
What kind of phone service do you? It shouldn't have gone out that long. That's a
no,
long
it didn't go out. What happened was somebody called me,
Oh.
and I answered the call, and then it shut itself off. So it didn't even say recalculated. And the
You're on SOB.
Nissan Sentra has the worst GPS system in it ever.
I will agree with you. Come on, Nissan. Get it right, huh? The style of the car's nice.
Oh, it's nice.
Yeah, I agree. I've heard the same. The electronics in that car is not great. Or the GPS. They're the Chevy ones.
Okay,
I agree.
we're gonna flash that.
Oh.
Christmas morning
Mm-hmm.
or 7
Yeah.
young enough to still enjoy Christmas, but old enough to know what the toys are. What was your favorite toy?
At 7.
7. Well, the thing is, we don't know what that
Okay.
Oh, okay.
because before you started school, you got your new school clothes and shoes, and then for Christmas,
Like short months later, they had a little another touch like this. So.
well, not only that, we grew.
Right.
By the time I was in grade,
7.
I was almost just about 6 foot tall.
In sixth grade?
Yeah.
So,
That's insane.
it just went up and
You
up.
said Tom was what, 5'3"?
5'2".
Yeah.
His dad was 6'4".
His mom
6'6",
was 4'9". You looked at her like, how the hell did this thing come out of?
Of that thing.
Oh, this wasn't quite.
Thanks.
So that
I'm a little
So they
it would have been Lincoln Logs.
Why did they call them Lincoln Logs?
Because they came from Lincoln, Nebraska. Is it why? Google it. Do you know why? So I don't know if you know the story. We watched Lincoln Lawyer, and the whole time I thought the music existed. It was because the lawyer out of his car was having a Lincoln. Did not catch that.
You're adorable.
So,
We all love her.
play.
You gotta love her.
Origin of in-laws.
Name of the boy after Abraham Lincoln. Because his favorite childhood home was a cabin. There you go.
What did you make? Cabins?
You can really bad.
He was like making sodas for the local grocery stores.
Hey,
You never heard of Pierpont?
It's not like Lego.
Right.
Only so much you
And
can do.
dolls back then were like giant. So you could like Barbie doll size. Homes. Hit him with a hard hit. When they go to the bathroom before, that's my pet peeve.
What's your pet peeve? I'm easily annoyed. So I have a slew of pet peeves. Liars,
Oh.
lazy people, ignorant people. I know.
So, if I tell somebody that I don't appreciate something, you know, there's certain circumstances where sarcasm can be okay,
Sure.
and then there are other circumstances where it's not okay. And I say, sarcasm at this point in time doesn't work. They go, oh, now I'm going to use this every time I want to get under his skin. So that becomes a pet peeve.
So they're pushing the buttons.
Inappropriate.
I'm not gonna button push.
Yeah. I'm gonna stick with mine. I don't like the dog system before.
I have a really, although people will insist I don't, I have a really high tolerance to pain and stupidity.
Really?
But when I get to that point that I'm not going to deal with it, I will say something. And people go, oh, you just went off the handle on that. So it's like, no. Go. I don't want it. Yep.
I gotta listen up. And that's it.
Okay, come on.
Oh, hard hit. Come on. The hard hit.
Past or future?
Explain.
Are you more excited about and want to what's happened in the past? Or are you more excited about pursuing this point?
Well, this point forward has a lot of no's. And the way that I get the most out of future is to utilize what I've learned in my past and try to build it. So it's really well done. That's why when people say, "Oh, so you're going to move," well, yeah, I'm going to move. Where are you going to go? Oh, I don't know. There's a house around the corner here, just down the street.
Here's what it does to you, though, is that you're not letting fear stop you.
Yeah.
Fear of the unknown stop you from moving forward. You're not trying to live in the past. You're holding on to principles and lessons of experience, but you're willing to move forward. There are people who are just like, so much better.
Yeah. Well, there's good. It's great. Like you're talking about your upbringing and stuff like that. That's great. Yeah. You gotta be able to apply those.
Well, over the years, I've had a chance to go to a local called Pierpont High. And fellow named never went. But
You're like this will be.
And I've been there three or four times.
Okay.
And I've had a different experience each time. Well, I went there last time, and the bank is not only one. The bank building.
Wow.
The general store, the food line, is gone. It's been replaced by a Dollar General that sits down 90 degrees on the side. So you can't go home again because things have changed.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting to go back and see what I remembered as being there. Because I was actually looking for a couple of things as I was going along. It took a day to go see that.
This next
You
one.
ever thought about just wearing a shirt that says hair? And then, are you really? Yeah, Howard, you're fun.
We're at 15 minutes, but we're gonna write out these next questions. I want to know.
We'll allow it.
Music genre, favorite music genre.
Whoa! I have buttons all over the place.
So if you were driving in your car right now and you had access to any song, what would you be playing?
A combination. Actually.
Most favorite.
Hard hitting questions.
Ooh.
Most
Those questions.
See, the problem is, you probably catch Thank God for everyone. If you stop Kevin Eddie's song, Stop Telling the Truth About You. And I like to tell people about the Atkins band, the Chet Atkins. The tobacco was.
Yeah.
All right. Last question. And this is gonna take a little bit, take your time for if you want to.
This is hard. Almost made it. You made it to the end. No sweat. Not a single handling it.
What is your favorite thing about yourself?
Where did this question come
Just
from?
out of it.
I was surprised. What you think about?
What are you most proud of yourself?
It's a great question.
It is a great question.
He's stumped.
No, because I'm trying to figure out how to phrase it. No. I think it's my ability to sit and listen to folks, to try to do the I don't the word intake sounds clinical.
Yeah.
To have some discussion back and forth about what's going on and how you're doing it. I've had to learn over the years. I'm an introvert. I'm a terrible introvert. And I'll go to a place and they'll say, okay, we're going to have a mix of 20 minutes. I'll go find a table with water and sit in the corner and not talk to you. Just sort of do that. But I've learned that when you talk to people, you let them talk, you listen to what they have to say. When there's time to do interject, to ask questions and stuff like that. I talked to somebody the other day. I was at the timeshare, and it was ice cream social time. Old group of us around, and there was a lady in her late 40s, and she and her mother had ice cream. I had my ice cream, and we both got our own ways. An hour or so later, we ate into it, and 3 hours later, brother came by and said, I think we'll go have some dinner. And we just been sitting there. We never asked each other what our names were. Because it was just a discussion about things.
Yeah.
I didn't have anything to sell her. I wasn't trying to push anything on her. She wasn't trying to push anything on me. We were having a discussion about what's going on and what life's like and what kind of things. And she's had experiences. I will never see this person again.
Right.
But it's just one of those happy deals. You run into somebody and you try to listen and learn and take some of those inputs that you don't know.
I love it. I love it because we do the same thing. And
I'm sorry.
life goes on so fast. One of the things that we're always talking about with our fellowship is how important it is to get out and be around people. You know, we in our faith, we're sharing good news, and if you're not, if you don't have an outlet, who are you sharing with? How are you going to meet people? How are you going to reach people? And it's not just being in front of somebody, but learning about person, talking to them. Like, for instance, we went to dinner for this podcast tonight, And we got a waitress, and we learned a little bit about her. A little bit about her. So it's a little bit about her, but it now I feel like if I were to start again.
Sure. We
I
know
don't
brand new this show. And she's trying to figure out the menu, trying really hard not to see the deals, looking up information, and she had made a script on how to ask, like, do you want the first version?
Can I write you?
So it was really
And you asked before about what would, if I was going to turn the radio on now, what would you listen to? I was down in Texas, and one of the people in my class lived in a particular town that was 30 miles away. And she and her husband ran a restaurant. So I went there for dinner, and on the way back, riding through the rich brown fields outside of Corpus Christi, I'm looking for a station, plugging along, and I found KLUX, which happens to be the Roman Catholic Archdiocese broadcast. They do three instrumentals and a vocal. They do about 40,000 service announcements. You get to learn what's going on.
right.
And I've supported them. Well, this last time they had a fundraiser. I didn't call it until the last day. When I called in, they said, "Who is this?" And I said, "It's Howard Pierpont." Wait a minute, Russ, Howard's on the phone. And I'm listening. And Russ goes, "You finally called me. What happened?" He called in. So it's that kind of, never met the man. See pictures of him. I came down this evening. I'd seen pictures of you and listen to you and watch the videos and podcasts.
Right.
And ourselves. Full customer.
What a house. It's unbelievable how they are. You go to dinner with them, beating on
But it's it's so wonderful people to be able to talk to them, to learn about what's going on, and then to be able to take some of that and say, okay, how can we apply this someplace? Who do I know?
Well, feel free, Howard, if you want to apply any of this as a solution to something.
Maybe perhaps say what
Or maybe even we're good starter program problem. They turn it into a solution for you. We're available either way. So,
Well, I so want to thank you for inviting me. We've been talking back and forth. I continue to get harassed. Draco said, "They keep saying you should show up. I wish I could drive down there."
We're so happy someone finally took us on the offer. And it just goes to show you, Howard can attest, that we are open to have any of you folks that follow us and have everybody's got an interesting story. Come across. We didn't listen to she does this. I'm blinking twice and I'm making So Howard's coming to the stage. Great question, by the way. Hard hitting. I can't even believe you made it through the whole gauntlet. You used to call it the gauntlet. And I was like, whoa. Maybe make those questions. But the last one was I don't know.
We've got 7
We always do more than you thought you were going to get here if you won.
Under promise, over deliver. Always.
He learned this from that. Howard said, it's good. But have you ever thought about 7 minutes? It was a but it was really cool. But thanks.
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Driving all the way to Colorado, where it's a blistering.
Oh yeah. I can tell you right now.
Where's the weather in Colorado? In fact, I've got to just say it would not feel right unless Howard. Wait, you gotta say Howard Pierpont on the broadcast.
Howard Pierpont joining us.
So top story. Some lady. Uh-oh.
Oh, God. We've lost the one. Joining us from a really
Guess they have
It was 40 the other morning, 5,000 feet.